It's saying that my connection is not great. Hello, 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 my lovely friends. How are you? I hope that you're well. I hope that your day's been brilliant. The weather's been lovely today. I've been out and about out of London and not long got back. So I didn't want to be late. So I've hopped on straight away from my car. So I'm always en route, aren't I? I'm a busy lady these days. Got lots going on. But yeah, excited to be having a conversation with you guys this evening. So welcome to our newer members, as always, and welcome to our existing members. I'm Nicole Louie. I'm the strategy mentor for social workers who want to be independent, showing them the blueprint of what they need to do, how and when, so that they can become fully independent. So today's topic, without further ado, is about debt management and independent social work. So we're talking about money. So I know that I've done lives before, and what we've spoken about is looking at money from the perspective of how much do you charge for your services, but we haven't touched on anything else. And I think it's important that we do, because I know that there are lots of people in the UK. In fact, I'm going to give you a statistic that it's over 1.6 trillion people collectively in the UK are in debt. Now, in other countries, I'm sure that it might be just as big, if not more, because it doesn't matter what country you're in, there's always debt, isn't there? The country always owes something somewhere along the lines. There's no country that's just milking it, doing amazing and not having its problems, right? So I'm going to talk specifically about the UK in these statistics. And over £31,000 on average is the amount that most individuals are in debt in the UK. So that's individuals. The trillion pounds that I mentioned, 1.6 trillion, was collectively what we owe collectively in the UK. And that's just what we know of, yeah? So it's obviously an issue, it's obviously a problem. And as social workers, where do we fit into that? And I want to talk about this in terms of where we are here in the UK, but not just in the UK, because we've got people represented in lots of countries within this community. So we've got people in the Philippines, in India, we've got people in Canada, we've got people in the US, we've got people in Trinidad, we've got people in, where else? South Africa, we've got people in Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Nigeria. Where else? What else am I missing? We've got loads of countries. We've got Ireland as well. That obviously forms part of the UK, and Scotland, different regions within the UK. So we've got people all over in this community. Let me know if I've missed any country out. Put it in the comments. So it's an issue that we need to consider globally, really, isn't it? And I guess because there's a global connection within this community that are thinking about being independent, I think it's helpful to discuss and talk about. So the statistics that I gave is quite high, of course. On average, every individual in the UK who is in debt of £31,000, just over. And so that's a lot for one person to have. And I guess it's, how do we tackle that? What do we do? What's available to us? I don't know what it's like in other countries, but I know here in the UK they've got particular charities that you can go to and seek funding support. And as social workers, I guess we'll know a lot of this stuff, because for our clients and those that we work with, we'll write to charities, don't we? And we'll try and get funding. What I've noticed over the past few years is that has diminished quite a lot. It's quite difficult to get funding for people, finances for people, but there are charities out there that if they're not giving money, they're giving services or goods. So for example, there are some particular charities that I write to, where if I'm working with a family, I'm doing an expert witness report and they need some family support that I provide, I'll write to charities and I'll get them washing machines or particular adaptations or things that they need if they've got disabilities. So there are those kind of charities out there that still exist. There are charities that you can write to where you can get a holiday, a free holiday for a client that you're working with if they're really struggling financially. But here's the thing, those are for our clients, right? And as somebody who's a professional social worker, we are the ones that have to write the application. But if we ever needed that, who writes an application for us? We can't write it for ourselves. Yeah, so where do we go? And there are charities in the UK. In fact, there is a particular website that I use, turntous.org.uk, and that's turn, TURN, the numerical 2, and US, us.org.uk, and they're really good. I use them for my clients predominantly, but I used it for myself when I first became independent because, as you know, I went from 58k to 16k in a year. And so I had used that initially because I wanted to see if I could get some funding and sourcing, getting some help for myself, because it was quite a steep drop. I found the places that I found that have benevolent trusts for social workers, it was a lot of paperwork, and I didn't even end up using them because I thought it was more hassle than anything. It was a stressful time, and it was just not something that I felt I was able to face at that time. So I managed, I did other things, and I managed to sort myself out, which was brilliant. But that is an option, and for whatever country that you're in, I would suggest that you... Oh, drop the phone. I would suggest that you do some information seeking around what charities there are, what services there are available specifically for social workers who may be in need, or people that work for the government, for example. There might be particular schemes that the company or government that you're working for has for its employees. So it's really important that you're able to look into that. Now, as it relates to being able to move into independence, one of the things that I covered in my mini course in terms of getting your house in order is things around finances, among other things, among a number of other things. Finances is one of them. You've got to be clear about what you've got in your income, what you've got in your outgoings, and I mean every drop. So if you subscribe to magazines, if you know that you spend money on a coffee or a tea every morning, all of that has got to be calculated and accounted for. Kind of like your bookkeeping. So it's similar to what I covered when I spoke about what you need in an accountant, and also how you manage financially. That was another live that I did. How do you manage financially as an independent social worker? So it's important that you really know what your outgoings are and be honest about what you're really spending, because otherwise it will come up and you would be like, well, I didn't account for it. So you need to be aware of that. Once you've done that, you're clear about what your income and your expenditure is, you'll have a better grasp and better idea of how to plan. So part of that income and expenditure, you need to also be mindful of whatever your debts are. So listing out whatever your debts are, however small, however great they are, and be able to snowball them. So it's a method that you can use to tick off as much as possible the smaller debts first, and then snowball that into the larger debt. So the money that you would spend on getting rid of the smaller debts, you use that money instead of thinking that, okay, I've got additional to spend now. No, you use that money and you snowball it into the rest of the money that you would use to get off the rest of the debts, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that way you're increasing your budget for clearing your debt as you start to clear the smaller ones. The money that you end up for the larger ones will increase because all of the little ones are now finished, and you can use that money towards the larger debts. So that's how to snowball and get rid of and work on your debts. You do not have to be debt free to become independent. Isn't it ideal? Of course, there's so many things in an ideal world, but the reality is, if you wait for certain things to be ideal and in place, you could be waiting forever, number one. And number two, it can just take a lot longer in any event, and while you're waiting for your ideal world to come about, you're living in a stressful situation, or you're in a situation that ideally you don't want to be in. So it's important that you recognize and understand that being in debt does not have to hold you back from being independent. There are many independent social workers that have struggled financially and have been able to manage and get through it. And actually being independent and being paid your worth allows you to demand and increase your income in a lot of ways, because you'll have different income streams to be able to rely upon. So it can actually be a plus. So the other thing about that is, there was something else that I was going to say around the finances. So when you're working out your debt and you're consolidating things, it's important that you have things written down so you're able to track it and track it on a monthly and quarterly basis to see where you're at. So you're able to keep on top of it. There are lots of companies out there that can assist with debt management, but more so it's important that you're able to keep on track of it and that you're committed to it and that you are focused on it. So with that said, write a list of your income and your expenditure. Include whatever your debts are. Have a separate list for that and know what you need to pay for each creditor so that you can look at working it down as time goes by. And then allocate whatever funds that you have in surplus. Now, if you don't have surplus funds, again, you're going to want to look at the video that I did on how to manage financially, because it talks about how you can get different streams of income and different methods you can use to do that, so that you will have that extra surplus to be able to work off your debts. And more importantly, if you don't have any debts, brilliant, you can just have that and put that to save. So as you become independent, you've got budgets for marketing and different things that you might need to get yourself started. So, you know, the question really in the live is, you know, would having debt stop you from becoming independent? Absolutely not. There's always methods, there's always ways to get yourself sorted out. And it's a bit like saying, well, if I'm not well in health, should that stop me from being independent? I'm a perfect example that no, it shouldn't. I'm not well at the moment. I've got different things going on for me, but I'm still alive and still kicking, still enthusiastic, still highly motivated and highly excited on the journey that I'm on in independence. And so that's not stopping me at all. And so it's important that you don't be discouraged or think to yourself, oh, I can't move forward because I've got this going on. It's really about getting a rein on things and understanding where you are in life, in different parts of your life, and where you can't resolve things, because that's not always immediately possible. You can, of course, have a plan to tackle it and manage it, especially if it's something where crisis can present itself. Having a really structured plan of how you're going to tackle things will be important, so you can go ahead and live life and live your best life. So I hope that it's been encouraging to be able to talk about that. And talk about what you're able to do, because there are always things that you can do to manage any difficult situation in life. So just one of my other final announcements, 2 announcements, is remember that we have a networking event on Tuesday 24th of September. If you haven't got your ticket, get your ticket. What are you waiting for? There's a few left for you to be able to attend. It's going to be a special edition where I answer your questions live there without you having to get a consultation with me. I'm going to be answering your questions, 1 question per participant, per attender, of whatever question that you have about becoming independent. That's personal to yourself, your specific scenario. So there's that. There's also going to be on the 29th of September, we have the dates locked in now for the start of the course, but I'm going to be doing a launch in a lead up to that, where I'm going to be going deep and diving deep in one of the modules of the course for free, and I'm going to be diving deep in that on the Sunday 29th is when it kicks off. So save that date in your diary. It's online. I want you to come and get all the juicy content. Whether or not you go forward with the course is irrelevant. I want you to come and join and participate in it and get the information, because it will be of benefit to you. So put those dates in your diary, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Take care for now. Oh, it's stuck.